Hey everybody, welcome to Talking Poop, the podcast where we talk about the movies, music, and media that make my cockle shout. I'm your host, Jason Bromley. With me today are two very special guests. First, to my left, is the master himself, Bryann, the machine Gunn.
Hey, happy to be here. Let's get this thing rolling.
And to his further left is Sterling Emmett Smith.
Nice.
Howdy.
Yeah, brothers. And we are here to talk some poop today about propaganda.
Propaganda poop.
Do you lose sleep at night? Grab your pillow tight. Do you struggle to find why Han and Luke had to die? Are you just a mess? Does Hollywood leave you stressed? Because their sequels are more important than fan requests. Hold on to your chair, cause talking poop takes you there. You might have to change into some new underwear. Talking poop.
So, propaganda, you guys, this is something that, I think a lot of people think of as, something that used to happen during war times, but it's happening right now. It's around us all the time. And I don't think it's necessarily so much anymore to support the war effort, but it's definitely to make you buy shit that you don't need.
It's not the posters slapped up on the walls anymore, but it's
still there to control us.
Yeah, it's
constant. The posters are still there. It's the advertising, and it's about social engineering.
Even the posters like the Obey posters that are supposed to be anti-propaganda have become their own propaganda.
The what?
The Obey posters with Andre the Giant on them.
Oh, the Obey, okay.
Now they're putting Obama on it and making it a cute t-shirt.
That's disgusting.
Next thing you know, there's going to be Hallmark Obey cards.
Yeah, and how about Che Guevara being on a t-shirt with resist? It's like, that guy was so against capitalism. Yeah. And now he's on this t-shirt all over.
Exactly.
Every college student has one, you know?
Yeah, it's exactly that. You try to, no matter how underground you try to be, you still just wind up being a cog in the fucking machine.
It becomes an irony in and of itself.
I don't want to sell anything, buy anything, or process anything as a career. I don't want to sell anything bought or processed, or buy anything sold or processed, or process anything sold, bought, or processed, or repair anything sold, bought, or processed. As a career, I don't want to do that. So, my father's in the Army. He wants me to join, but I can't work for that corporation. So what I've been doing lately is kickboxing.
Well, propaganda has been going on forever since the beginning of time. And that's why I brought Bryann on to talk about it.
Yeah, I think the earliest that we know of, for sure, propaganda being used is in around 500 BCs with Darius I, the Persian Empire, and it's called the Bassoon inscription, and it's this big, long stone tablet of everything that he accomplished from his point of view. So he's just talking mad shit on everyone he's ever conquered, and just I easily cracked the shit out of these people, conquered this tribe over here, got these lands. He doesn't mention any of his defeats.
Well, look at that. You can see my dick from here.
He doesn't talk about anything like that. So we can look at that and say, that's definitely propaganda.
Right.
The Greeks used it. The Greek city-states would use it against each other. They would use it against the Persians. The Romans used it very politically. You'd have two politicians, just like we have now, blaming each other for the same problem. The Catholic Church was great at it, especially during the Crusades.
Hear me! Oh, hear me! All pay heed! The Lord Jehovah, has given unto you these 10 commandments for all to obey.
All the way up to the American Revolution, the Patriot cause was really big in propaganda. Some of our founding fathers, Sam Adams, not the beer, the actual founding father, Patrick Henry, very involved in newspapers that would slander the British, slander the king. They actually turned the Boston Massacre. We know that as the Boston Massacre today because of their efforts when, in reality, it's not a massacre. Two guys, a couple guys get killed, a couple guys get wounded, and all over, we're not even really sure who started it. They're throwing rocks at armed guys.
Right.
They're probably not going to respond very well to that. But
you talked about the founding fathers. When you actually do research and find out what really happened with the founding fathers, they were all just psychotic radicals that left England and were we're gonna go and fuck up our own shit. They started the country to
not all of them. A lot of them were here. Washington, he was born here. they had a lot to lose. That's the thing a lot of people don't realize is these guys could have gone along with whatever the crown was doing and they would have had very comfortable lives. They had a lot to lose by backing the Patriot cause. And it was only about 30% of the Americans supported the Patriots, about 30% supported the Loyalists, and about 30% not, undecided. It was about a third. So it wasn't like this huge, overwhelming Patriot cause. They could have easily just sat home and said, I'm not getting involved in this.
Do you care if it falls?
What?
The Roman Empire?
Fuck it.
Kind of got ahead of ourselves a little bit. Like, Sterling, explain to us what propaganda is.
Okay, so spreading of ideas, information, or rumor for the purpose of helping or injuring an institution, a cause, or people.
I think that propaganda it's not necessarily lies, is it?
It doesn't necessarily have to be negative, and it doesn't necessarily have to be lies, but it's almost always an exaggeration.
Right.
It's almost always an exaggeration of the truth.
And if I can really just kind of add to that, an exaggeration, yes, but it's mostly to instill an emotional response.
Right. It's to inspire people to move in a direction that they want, the government usually wants you to move.
You can't use propaganda in a way that's going to make people critically think.
Drink it in. It always goes down smooth.
Not so much in advertising anymore, but in the 1980s, it was all slogans. Every product had a slogan. It was Nike, just do it. Pepsi, the choice of a new generation.
I'm loving it.
Burger King, yeah.
No, that was McDonald's.
Oh, shit.
Big pink dildos, just put them in your ass. Like, it's all slogans, and it all makes you want to do or buy things a certain way.
Yo quiero Taco Bell.
I've fallen, and I can't get up.
Where's the beef?
Sometimes you feel like a nut, sometimes you don't.
Mamma mia, that's a spicy meatball.
Well, and by having those catchphrases, I mean, that was a big reason why Obama won in 2008, was his famous phrase, yes, we can.
Well, yeah, I mean, every president has a catchphrase, that is like...
Yeah, make America great again.
Yeah.
It's always something to try to motivate the masses. I mean...
Even goddamn 9/11 has a catchphrase, like, never forget.
Yep.
Like, you just have these words that, like, we tack onto something, and it creates an image in your head. It creates an emotional feeling inside of you, George
H.W. Bush, read my lips, no new taxes.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, if you want to keep going on the history of it, from the Revolution... I think America realized like how well it could be used. It's used in every major war. The War of 1812, the Spanish-American War, was used a lot against the Spaniards to basically pick a fight with them.
Sounds like us.
It was our empirical period for sure. We're grabbing up new territory. We're beating people up. We wanted to prove ourselves. And but then World War I is where I think propaganda hits a turning point in warfare. Because at the end of World War I, one of their field marshals, Erich von Ludendorff, says propaganda really helped beat us. That was a huge part of our downfall. We underestimated it, and the Allies used it against us. Adolf Hitler would echo those words later because he fought, as an enlisted soldier in World War I, and he believed that too. And of course, who did he blame for it? He blames the Jewish population for the propaganda used against the Germans. So they really turned it up in World War II. But in World War I, there's a poster from the beginning of the war when Germany invades Belgium, a neutral country. And there's a poster of a German soldier with 3 dead babies on his bayonet, and he's just marching with it. And it was just one of the most widespread propaganda posters of World War I. And that image right there of the German soldier just basically raping a neutral country, really hurt their cause. And when other countries started jumping in and picking sides, the propaganda really hurt the Germans.
Mm-hmm. Was it World War I when the famous Uncle Sam, I Want You army poster came out? Was it World War I?
I believe it's World War II, but I'm not sure because America jumped in so late to World War I. I'm not sure.
Yeah, propaganda was used for Woodrow Wilson's re-election campaign.
Yeah, and
he kept us out of war, and then he gets elected to the second term, and it's like, all right, we're going to war.
Yeah, and I mean, again, there's a lot of factors that went into that.
Sure.
I think he really, even while he was saying he kept us out of war, Wilson really was telling the British in private that we're going to help you.
But he needed a cause, and that was the sinking of the ship. I can't remember the name.
Lusitania.
The Lusitania, yeah.
Yeah, and the Zimmerman note, when the Germans sent a note to Mexico that said, hey, if you pick a fight with America and keep them busy so they don't join this war, we'll help you get back all that territory you lost in the Mexican-American War. And Mexico was like, yeah, no, we're good. But we intercepted it. So it was like, oh, all right. And it helped get America into the war. And then you could say that the Zimmerman note was turned into propaganda for sure. But just the way the Germans were represented was like as a guerrilla. They had the German uniform on, but they're guerrillas, and they're grabbing these, blonde-haired white women in these white dresses, and they're just running off with them. And
I saw that one. They depicted in one of them like he was King Kong, and that movie had just came out recently. People were fearful of it.
The Hun. They equated the Germans to Attila the Hun. It's the Huns. And it was just a crazy amount of propaganda. The British military had an entire department just devoted to pump out propaganda against them. And part of it's because the British were trying everything they possibly could, because the German army was just steamrolling in the beginning. And then, World War II propaganda, I think, kind of changes with the arrival of the film.
Oh, yeah. Probably the biggest propaganda piece done during World War II was under Hitler's Germany. It was Triumph of the Will. If you watch the movie now, it's very boring, somewhat ahead of its time as far as its cinematography went. But it's flying through the clouds. You show this plane, it lands, and it's playing this triumphant music this whole time. And just understand, this is very drawn out. I mean, you think of those old epics from the 50s.
It's like a Tarantino opening.
Yeah, exactly. It's just drawn out. Well, the plane lands, Hitler and his men come off, Hitler's paraded through the city, and then he's there giving his big speech. It's the epitome of wartime propaganda.
Hitler, to me, was the Steven Spielberg of Nazi propaganda.
I mean, Goebbels was.
Well,
yeah, he did have a propaganda minister,
right? Well, and that's that. I mean, he used propaganda to take over a country.
Yeah, he understood it when he went into Austria completely unchecked. I mean, a big part of that was because of the propaganda they spread beforehand of like, do you want to be reunited with your motherland? Like, do you want the German Empire whole again?
Right.
Do you want us like to be together? And it was just like he marched in there and people are cheering. The Austrians are cheering.
Yep.
Right. All right. I'm going to ask a super scary, very unpopular question right now. Do you guys think, so I feel like there's a lot of like political correctness right now and the anti-racism and stuff like that, but I feel like a lot of it is forced, and I feel like a lot of it is like,
I feel like there's people out there who are trying to be offended, and they're looking for any little thing, any little slip up anyone makes, because now you have more content out there than ever. We have, people like us making podcasts. We have people who just make their own YouTube channels, so they will find any little thing in any little form of media to be offended about.
Right.
And so it makes everyone really on edge, and you really got to watch what you say all the time.
Right.
And that's part of why I like doing this podcast so much is I don't watch what I say. And like, none of us do. And
I try to keep it to like adult roar as far as like because I do not want to offend anybody.
Right.
I don't want to offend just the average like listener or somebody who's just like, who's just like listening to a podcast. Like, I don't want to all of a sudden say something that's like going to offend that person. But at the same time, like, I don't want to have my balls cut off and not talk about the hard questions, because that's where what you're not getting.
That's how I feel at work. Like, I can't talk about anything real with anybody.
Right, because basically what you guys are saying is that we're woke enough now that something like what happened in Germany in World War II could never happen.
No, I'm not saying
necessarily.
Could never.
No,
not saying could never. I'm saying today I'm hoping with I think it's a benefit of social media, where when something shitty is happening, you can quickly spread it and make everyone aware, and people will rally. Where it's not just an isolated incident of like, hey, this group of people, they're starting to disappear in the night. We'll find out about stuff like that really quickly. The government, they're not transparent now, but they are watched very closely.
Well, it's like the thing happening on the border where families are being
boom, people are protesting.
Split up
boom, people are filming it. Boom, people are even blowing it out of proportion to where like just to get attention on it.
Right.
And then you also had people defending it, which was weird. But everything, either that caravan of people coming from Honduras was full of ISIS, or it was full of people fleeing a bad situation who just were coming for, to be refugees.
Right.
And it was like, that was it. That was the only two things you were hearing.
Yeah.
So.
Well, most of the time when you see stuff like that, it's either because they're hiding something else that's going on. The media doesn't want to cover something that's going on elsewhere. Or when you, and I've seen videos of them doing newscasts with these people coming up from Honduras, and then right after the cameras stop rolling, they all pile into buses and vans and keep going.
Right.
So that's why I say you can't listen to the media.
When you realize that there's only 6 media companies that are controlling everything that we see here in this country, like, that's why the internet is so important. That's why net neutrality is so important.
Have you seen that video? Somebody edited together this piece that was just beautiful, showing all of these newscasts from all across the country, and they were all opening and pretty much saying the exact same thing.
Fox News has been buying up the local.
It's not just Fox News.
No,
but it's everybody.
It's the parent company of Fox News has been buying up at a prodigious rate local news stations, and they all open with that. I think it's the Sinclair Media. And they all open with that same opening statement, and that screen just kept breaking into different parts, and they were all just in sync. It was crazy.
It was hilarious.
It was creepy.
And something like that you wouldn't be able to get across, 50 years ago. People wouldn't be, quote, woke to that. But the advent of the internet, you got something like that where people can get these newscasts from all over the place, compile together a piece like that and say, here's what's being thrown in your face. And people are like, so we are being manipulated.
It was hard to find a different view than the one you grew up with.
It's true.
And then now with the internet, it was like, there's different opinions out there. There's different ways of looking at this.
I certainly think, like, going back a little bit back to, like, World War II, we were also using the propaganda machine.
Oh my gosh,
during World War II.
Donald Duck and the films against he's floating down the river and the Japanese are trying to shoot him and they come up from behind him and it's the most racist caricature of a Japanese person you've ever seen drawn.
Big teeth and squinty eyes. Yep.
Big teeth, and they go to shoot him in the back, and of course he does something, the raft flips over and like gets him or whatever, and they're like, the narrator's like, they're gonna shoot Donald in the back. Just like a dirty Jap would. And you're just like, I thought this was a cartoon, and then now Donald Duck's like tramping around Japan, fighting the Japanese army. Like, it was fucking crazy to see that stuff used as propaganda, but it was. Do yourself a favor and type in, when you're at home, type in Donald Duck World War II propaganda, and you will find some videos, including one where he has a dream where he's waking up. This is
Der Fuhrer's face.
Yeah,
and that
wakes
one's called
up
Der
and he's
Fuhrer's
just gotta
face.
like work in a socialist country and just, the shitty living, and then he wakes up in America and he's like, whew, thank God, but the whole day, and it's all just this exaggerated stuff about socialism and fascism,
right?
And it's just like, it's crazy. Donald Duck.
Yeah.
Another big propaganda cartoon you can get, go to YouTube and type in Education for Death. It's a Disney propaganda film showing what Germany was like. They depicted Germany as this really big fat opera chick with these Viking horns.
Yeah.
And the way they portray Hitler is pretty funny.
Well, look, one of the great things, like one of the first things I saw where I was like saw propaganda was actually in The Rocketeer, where like they show
that video is great.
The video that Germany makes, how they're going to make a bunch of rocket soldiers to come over and destroy the United States and stuff like that.
Yeah,
and
gets people amped.
That was like an exaggeration, but that stuff was going on.
But that's the point. It's an exaggeration. It's showing the romantic side of everything. It's showing the final piece, the romanticization of it.
Yeah.
If I said that correct.
You didn't, but
okay.
It was a good effort.
That's good. Thank you. It shows that, but it doesn't show the realism about it. It's not going to show, this is what it's going to take to do it, because if you do that, people are going to be like, nah.
Well, and then in the 1980s, they were doing that to sell beer and cigarettes.
If you love to smoke, then you know there's no place left in America where you can light up a butt these days. That's why Carnival is proud to offer our new Smokers Cruise. You'll aboard our luxury liner and be off to, who cares where you go. The point is, you'll be in international waters where you can smoke 24 hours a day for a full 2 weeks.
Like, I love watching live sports. I love watching the NFL. I love watching the NBA. I fucking hate sitting through the commercials. You know, I just mute them every time because it's like, no, I don't drink beer. No, I don't need a new pickup truck. No, I don't have erectile dysfunction. Like, okay, can you get some new fucking commercials already?
Right. But basically they're like, you're watching sports. Yeah. Pull out your dick.
Yeah.
Show us how big it is.
Drink Bud Light. Drink Coors Light. It's fucking cold.
If you're not drinking Bud Light, you have a little dick.
Seriously.
If you don't have a Dodge Ram, you're a pussy.
Sam Elliott sells this truck. Sam Elliott, buy this truck.
His mustache has fucked more women than your dick ever will.
A man sticks a gun in your face. You got two choices. You can die or you can kill the motherfucker.
Like in the 80s cigarette ads with Joe Camel and Spuds McKenzie and those things that were like geared towards children.
Something that's actually bad for you, and they're saying, no, it's good. It's good.
I feel like it's become the culture at this point. Like the dollar is worshipped at the highest thing. New technology, new phones. New things.
Oh yeah,
all the
buy.
Yeah, if you don't have this, here's what I love. It's like, you don't have this, you won't be happy, or if you don't have this, you won't be a good person.
Exactly.
The car commercials drive me crazy lately when they're doing good things in their car, like dropping their daughter off at college. Picking a soldier up from an airport, and you're just like, how does this car have anything to do with that fucking decision you made? If you didn't drive a Toyota Camry, you wouldn't have sent your daughter to college? Like, I'm confused.
Right.
You know? And it's you don't tell me the price. You don't tell me any features. You don't tell me what you changed from the year before. Nothing looks new. Nothing looks different. They're just saying, buy it, you fucking idiot.
Yeah. Right.
This is what I love this now about the new Chevy commercials. Have you noticed them where it's like, we're the only ones to win this award for this. So it's like they have 18 fucking awards. And then when you pause it and you look at what the award is, it's for best new car, like best reliable. Basically what it comes down to is, did this car perform well the first 3 months you had it?
Yeah.
I would fucking hope so. Yeah. 3 months. I'm not really concerned about the first 3 months I buy a new car.
I'm hoping the car will last me for like 3 years before it needs
minimum. Like, and that's the award. The Chevy, the dependability award. That's what they keep calling it. Dependability. 3 months.
3 months is not dependability with a car.
It was dependably as fuck for 3 months.
Yeah. I can build a car that'll last you 3 months.
The one that pisses me off the worst is that same commercial where like the people like go to Chevy and then they're like, you want to see the best cars on the market? And then they show them their own cars.
We're not in a room?
What? Those are just our cars. If you fucking got me out of bed to come down here and drove my car down here to show me my own fucking car.
Or when they bring the new Chevy back from the valet and they're like, guys want to get in it? You'd be like, oh, no, dude, that's not my fucking car.
That's the worst one where they like let the little kids get in the car and they're like, this is way nicer than our car, Dad. Why do you fucking suck so bad, Dad? Why can't we afford this car? And it's just like, I'm sorry. I worked 3 jobs to put macaroni and cheese in your mouth.
Nothing like demonizing fatherhood by shaming him into saying, hey, this guy who's probably single has something cooler than you, Dad. It's like, oh, well, I'm sorry that my resources are going to feed your stupid asses.
How about the car commercials around Christmas?
Oh,
when it's
geez.
Like, you wake up and there's a new car in the driveway. Like, what?
Yeah.
It's like you just went out and bought a Mercedes and for a fucking Christmas present a surprise. Like, what the fuck kind of budget do you have?
I will say, to be fair though, that commercial with the little kid in the Darth Vader outfit was that was pretty cute.
Yeah. Well, if you put Darth Vader in anything, of course I'm going to buy it.
Like him doing the whole force
and
power.
I'm not influenced by propaganda, but Star Wars anything,
you know Vader used propaganda to get the Imperial Army going. You know he did.
It is pointless to resist, my son.
Star Wars Imperial propaganda, it's hilarious.
Okay, so let's talk about the propaganda that is happening right now that people don't even realize is fucking propaganda. And one of them, that was a huge one for me, was Avatar, where I watched that entire movie and I was like, why do I feel like I fucking hate like machines now and like I don't want to drive my car?
The Marines are bad.
I feel like an asshole and I don't like the Army anymore.
Why am I trying to get this unobtainium when I didn't do anything to these people?
Exactly.
Even the name of what they're trying to get, unobtainium.
Oh yeah.
Just like you like no.
It's like you guys couldn't like take some
ramming it home there. Huh?
You guys couldn't take like $100,000 of your visual effects budget and give it to the writers.
Dude, all you would have had to do was just call me on the phone and be like, bro, Come up with something. That would be like if they called me and they're like, "Hey, Jason, we need to know what the name of the rock that kills Superman is," and I was like, "Kill Superman tonight." Done. Boom.
Got it.
Boom, baby.
Boom. No, yeah, it was ridiculous, but that was a huge like propaganda movie for like, you know, anti-industrialists and like
pro-nature.
Yeah, and I mean it was like James Cameron's.
It was supposed to be an allegory of what we supposedly did to the Native Americans. I mean, it was just a lot of.
No, it was the movie whose name I don't want to say, In Space.
Say it, Bryan.
Dances with Wolves.
Yeah.
Space.
You're not a fan of Dances with Wolves?
No,
Well, me and Bryan have a little bit of history with Dances with Wolves. We were.
Did you guys make out during the movie?
Well, yeah.
Well,
but that's every movie.
Yeah, that's every movie.
Okay.
Like, especially the long ones. And during the intermission, we fucked.
When they get it on in the teepee, it just makes me fucking rock hard every time.
Every time.
I thought it was another.
We were watching that movie when our boss busted in and was like, "Gotcha, bitches," and fired
You
us.
two are fired. Give me your badges. We had to fucking turn our badges in like Riggs and Murtaugh.
Yeah.
Badges? We don't need no stinking badges. Oh, no.
Yeah.
And so you guys were watching Dances with Wolves.
Yeah.
And then the guy
had my
busted
feet up on the desk.
And he
did like a whole sting operation.
Yeah, he did a whole sting operation. He was watching us on the camera.
You guys had a Dwight working for you?
We had it was 100% a Dwight.
Seriously.
But
not funny.
Yeah.
But not funny.
Yeah.
Not funny. Question.
Dwight and Hitler had a fucking baby. It would have been this guy. And he just fucked us.
Can't be doing that at work.
Exactly.
Well, there's always those people that.
But when I fought it, he pulled out. They were like, yeah. So to make it fair, if you feel like you're unjustly fired, you can like fight it, and but you can't have representation. You can't bring anybody in from like the ER who was like a high up like nurse or doctor who
no one could speak on our behalf.
Nobody could speak on your behalf. So they had 3 random people that had never seen me before, and I'd worked there for 11 years.
Sounds like a kangaroo court to me.
I think they were actors, 100%, dude. And they literally opened up a file and pulled out every bad thing I ever said or did in 11 years.
It was a
granted,
file.
it was a thick file.
It was like a card catalog at the library.
I said, look, I don't look good on paper. But
I don't necessarily do my job.
I'm really a good person.
Yes,
inside.
I was watching a 2.5 hour movie in an 8 hour shift. But hey,
at a hospital that needs security.
No, that's the thing is like the other employees that loved us. We always did our job really well. We actually did really well at that job. But it was also some nights it was a slow fucking job.
Freaking dead. And
I've gone entire shifts there without a single call.
Exactly. And then some days you would spend 8 hours in the emergency room getting your ass kicked in.
Yeah.
And I brought an unassociated female that was not supposed to be there into a locked down into a lockdown area.
Really?
I didn't know. That's
like I said, we weren't good at our job per se.
Yeah.
But we didn't deserve to get fired for watching Netflix.
Exactly. The whole sex in the bathroom, that was propaganda that brought me down.
See how to bring this thing full circle? Good job.
Yep.
Good job. The propaganda of today, yeah.
That's right. So, all right. We just went off on a huge tangent.
It always gets us fired up, man. And all we got to do is mention that movie and we just both get fired up.
I know.
So you guys could probably join the Didn't Like Dances with Wolves.
No, love that movie.
Used to love it, but it does.
Yeah, I'll never watch it again.
Now it brings back bad memories.
Yeah,
I did try to watch it a couple years ago and I was just like, fuck this movie.
Oh yeah, dude. It's like trying to watch reruns of The Cosby Show. Like,
Yeah, you got good old Cosby talking about good wholesome values, and you're just like, why?
Exactly.
That's sad. Okay, so propaganda movies. Somebody told me that the recent Avengers movie, not Endgame, Infinity War, was a movie that had propaganda overtones.
Yeah.
About the essence of population control and resources.
Oh, I'll be the first to say Thanos has a great idea.
I'm all for it.
I'm 100% behind
I'm
Thanos.
personally hoping Thanos comes out on top in Endgame.
Absolutely, yeah.
No, well, you know he's not, but People are saying that was propaganda. A couple of other movies in recent times that people say are propaganda. The movie Wag the Dog, which I saw recently, was very much about how propaganda is used to manipulate the masses. So anybody out there that hasn't seen or heard of the movie, it's called Wag the Dog. It's with Dustin Hoffman and why can I not remember his name? Holy crap, this is terrible. He was in Meet the Fockers and Taxi Cab.
Dustin Hoffman. Robert De Niro.
Robert De Niro, thank you. I don't know why.
Bobby D.
Oh, well, Dustin Hoffman was in those movies too. Fuck you guys.
He was not in Meet the Parents.
He was Meet the Fockers.
He was in Meet the Fockers, but he wasn't in Taxi Driver.
Yes, he was. He was like,
no,
hey,
he wasn't. No, he wasn't. No, he wasn't.
Stop.
Sometimes my dad lets me drive the taxi in the driveway.
So the movie Wag the Dog is
definitely a good driver.
It starts off with and this took place during the Clinton administration, which kind of makes this funny. It involved a presidential sex scandal, and the news was going to break. He was up for re-election, and they had to come up with something to keep the media and the American attention away from it. And so they created a fake war, a fake crisis in Albania. And they're like, why did you pick Albania? And he's like, most Americans don't even know where Albania is, so what does it matter? And they actually showed the methods and how they did green screen, how they utilized crisis actors, all these different elements. I mean, this is in the 90s, and this is supposed to be a comedy.
I would look into Noah Chomsky's work on the media.
I've read some of his stuff. Yeah. That guy's got some very insightful stuff about media.
So what does he talk about?
He's just a huge critic of American media, and he gives you a lot of examples of what they don't report and how they will falsely report something knowing that it's false. Later they will issue a recant, maybe on the side scroll down at the bottom,
right,
or on page 19 of a newspaper
for the who control the airwaves and who control the
FCC.
FCC, thank you. The FCC, that's good enough, and they're all tied in. And it's only when you learn it's only 6 guys that are making these decisions, and anything that affects their businesses negatively, they just don't let us see.
Right,
pretty much.
And we look at countries like North Korea and we look at countries like Russia, and we're like, oh man, their media is so restricted. They just don't know what's going on. It's like, well, so are we.
Right.
We're just definitely not as much, but we also are.
Right. Well, and any of the movies that came out about the Afghani situation, it's not a situation, it's war. But any of the movies that came out about the Afghanistan war, it has been so glossed over, and I'm talking American Sniper and Soul Survivor. There's these movies where it's just
Lone Survivor.
What did I say?
Soul Survivor.
Oh, Lone Survivor.
When you say glossed over, what do you mean?
I just mean those movies don't show American Sniper.
They
was one where
they
romanticize what that guy did. That he went over there and killed a bunch of people, and I don't think
he wrote his own propaganda. He wrote his own book.
That's true. Yeah,
and he wrote it. That's what SEALs do.
Right. And
I'm convinced every SEAL who's ever deployed has written a book about it.
Right. If Rambo was a real person, he would have wrote a tell-all. They did a really good job with the new Jack Ryan series. They did a really good job of showing both sides on that.
And how
that series.
In the very beginning, how that terrorist gets created.
Right. How he gets created and how good intentions become evil.
No one thinks that's the thing. No one thinks they're committing evil. Everyone thinks they're right.
Right.
Hitler thought he was doing the right thing.
Right. Thanos thinks he's doing the right thing.
Thanos thinks he's doing the right thing. These guys in the Middle East.
Tyler Durden thought he was doing the right thing.
Tyler Durden was doing the right thing.
Okay.
If I was born in the Middle East, I would be just as an Advent warrior for them. If I was raised in that culture as I am for this culture.
Right.
That's just how it works.
If we were born in any of those circumstances, in any time period,
yeah,
and a lot of that begs the question: how much of that are we being manipulated and?
You can't help it unless you're a hermit.
Brainwashed.
I don't think there's any escaping it unless you're completely removed from society.
What do you guys think about is Trump's Twitter account literally propaganda?
Yes.
Oh, totally.
Yes.
That guy needs to delete his account.
Certainly an exaggeration.
Right.
It's never the truth. It's never
He
fact.
needs to stop with the Twitter.
Presidents in general shouldn't
exactly.
That shouldn't be allowed.
It's not a very presidential thing to do.
Yes, right there. It's not presidential.
You're representing the rest of our country.
You are supposed to keep it under control. You are supposed to be the representative of the United States public to the world. And tweeting, saying these things about whatever, it's unpresidential.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Nothing more can be said about that.
That's all I've got to say about that.
That's all I've got to say about that.
All right, so in closing, like, what are we going to do about this, you guys?
Well...
Fuck, marry, kill.
Well, the answer that I have, you know, and people can agree with it, they can disagree, you know, whatever. My approach to propaganda and everything is the idea that we need to be more critical thinkers. The way you do it, you find out how the argument is being structured. For example, one of the things that I saw in an article once, you guys know who the Professor Jordan Peterson is?
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
All right then. Well,
Jordan Peterson is a highly controversial figure who is a professor from Canada, and he's written several books on, hey, these are the things I think you should do in your life to keep your life in order. And he's been misconstrued by the left and the right.
Big time.
And now there's people on both sides who hate him, and there's people on both sides who love him.
The reason he got media attention was because he was very much against this law in Canada that they were going to pass for people who are transgendered, that you have to refer to them by the name of their choosing by force. And he said that's going against my freedom of speech. Anyway, that's who he is in a nutshell.
Just real quick, it was good, but I liked what he said, and he said it's not the same as like me not yelling fire in a theater. We all get that. That's dangerous. But you're saying I can't say something like, if I went around, you know, yelling the N-word at the top of my lungs in Harlem, it's like, I'm trying to cause a disturbance. But what he was saying is like, you're trying to force me to say something. Not to keep me from saying something, you're trying to force me to say something. Mm. And he just didn't like the precedent it set. He didn't say, he's like, I don't have anything against that community. I don't like the precedent that sets that the government can tell me that I have to say that to them.
And he even said that if somebody came up to him in class between just the two of them and said, I prefer to be referred to as this, would you please do it? He says, absolutely.
Yeah.
Out of respect and kindness, he says, so the man has a good head on his shoulder. Anyway, the reason I bring up Jordan Peterson and the idea of critical thinking, this article that I read about him, the thing that they did is they referred to him always as Mr. Peterson. Okay. He's a doctor. He has a doctorate. Refer to him by his proper title. Okay. When an article or when anything starts out not giving the person the respect they deserve or that they have earned, right there is a way you can tell this is going to be a demonizing propaganda piece from the get-go. So how it's structured from the very start is a big part. So
I'll do current events in my class with my students, and I'm always really careful to not bring my personal feelings into it. So whenever anything gets brought up about politics, it's always, hey, President Trump this, President Trump that.
Yeah, you don't say Mr. Trump.
Yeah, because no matter how I feel, I'm not just sitting there and say Trump or Mr. Trump. Or I give him the title, I give him the respect or whatever, and I don't let my personal feelings come into it. Because you're right. As soon as you hear someone saying that, you know, you can tell pretty much from the get-go, do they give him the respect, do they give him the title, how they feel right as they're starting.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, though, is that, so, like, I read an article recently where... So all this stuff is coming out where we have to be like politically correct and gender identify, like everything has to be LGBT, the East Coast family. So, but no, so this dude came out and he said, well, I am 57 years old, but I look younger, I feel younger, and I can't get women when I have to put on these dating sites that I'm 57 years old. So I would like to change my age on my driver's license because I don't identify as a 57-year-old person.
Yeah.
So now you've got those people that are gonna like fucking find the gray areas and find the ways to fuck this thing.
Well, and that's where the propaganda comes in, is that they'll come up with these feels pieces. And they'll try and give examples of how these people feel like they're disenfranchised. They feel that they feel. And it's like, I'm sorry, but fuck your feelings. We need to start doing things that are objective. If you're 56 years old, you're 56 years old. Accept it. Deal with it. Your time has passed. You gotta use the men's bathroom. Yeah, your time has passed.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with people saying like, oh, I want to change. You know, you can go do whatever you want. I'm very like open-minded about that stuff. But I do have a problem when it's like forced upon you that you need to use these pronouns or you need to use this or that. Because some of them are completely made up words and it gets me very confused. And then I also don't like the precedent of having this, like, you're being forced to say this.
Right.
Therein also lies.
And I also feel like there are bigger civil rights issues that still need to be.
Oh, absolutely, there are.
And so much of it, propaganda also works to steer you away from the real problems and the real things that we need to be looking at.
Right now, I feel like the biggest thing that could still be settled is like just wealth inequality in the country, and like we're at this huge disparity where it's been growing for a long time. And
blue collar is like, it was light blue collar, and now there is no blue collar anymore.
The fact that you have 90% of the wealth and less than 1% hands.
Yeah, we've got white collars and we have t-shirts.
Doesn't seem right.
No.
The t-shirts
we're all working hard for a penny.
And the t-shirts have stains on them.
Exactly. You just got to stay woke. You have to be aware of it. Propaganda can't work on you.
So Sterling said critical thinking, and I'm going to go short and simple answer. How do we fix this? Education is almost always the solution. If you're
where can you get educated and know that that's my biggest problem?
Money needs to go to education.
The
more. No, I'm not talking about teachers. I'm talking about the more kids you can actually reach, and the more you can make our schools equitable to one another, because we have a huge disparity in our public schools in this country.
Right.
So some kids go to public school, there's no books, there's no technology, the building is cold, there's a great free lunch program. They're like, cool, I get to eat today. And then, there's schools, like I teach at a really nice school in a really nice neighborhood, and not every kid gets to go to that. And so we need to get every kid the chance to get the same education, instead of just like, make it work.
Right.
The more educated your populace is, the better off you'll be.
And I agree. What I'm saying is, like, don't believe everything you hear. Just because it's in a book doesn't make it true. Just because it's on the internet doesn't mean it's true.
Even the textbooks.
A huge part of textbooks are hugely politically chosen. Textbooks have a lot of politics behind them. One of the things I always teach my students is, I'm a history teacher. You can Google anything I'm teaching you, but what you can't Google is how to accurately be critical of your sources.
Right.
So I really try to teach critical thinking and to make sure who's the source coming from, what type of source is it, what was their purpose in writing it.
Well, I think you've mentioned it in the past that if you want American news, check out BBC.
Right. Yeah.
Because you're not going to get real American news from
pretty
America.
Much. Yeah, I listen to Russia Today when I want to know what's going on in America.
Absolutely.
Probably not the...
that one probably is the wrong one.
Not the same. Everything is fine. Don't go outside. Everything all good in America. Don't believe anyone else.
Hey, Trump is great president.
President Trump doing kicking ass economy. So good.
So good. So good. Jobs up. Economy up. Building walls up.
Those are good accents, guys. I can't do one nearly that good.
I like my Russian accent. I do this a lot.
I say that shit all the time.
Yeah, my wife likes it when I do accents in bed, so she can pretend like it's not really me.
Right, me too, she says. I say, give me the puss, and she says it doesn't sound as bad.
Come on, do it! Give me the pussy!
Wow.
It's my favorite one.
All right, and on that note, that's where we're going to close today.
Excellent.
I think we did it, you guys. I think we talked some poop.
Yeah.
All right, Bryann, when's your book going to be published?
January 31st.
That's coming up quick.
Comes out on Amazon Kindle, and then later it'll come out as a paperback. It's 99 cents on Amazon under the name Scott Harris, who's the guy who put it all together. He's doing the self-publishing. It's a compilation.
What's the name of it?
Some Time to Myself is the compilation name, and it's 52 authors. It's under my name, Bryann Gunn. Check it out.
What's your story called?
Brothers in a Bar. So look it up, check it out, let me know what you think. Drop something on my Instagram page, message me. Bryann Gunn Books on there. I would love to hear anybody's feedback. And my website will be up and running soon, and I'm just going to start posting my stories up there for free.
Really?
Yeah.
Awesome.
I think that's what I'm going to do, because I just want to get them out there and have people reading them.
Excellent. Sterling, what do you got going on?
Putting the finishing touches on my documentary film, American Moxie. I've got a rough cut. The guys have seen it. They loved it. I'm just getting it shaved down to 65 minutes for festival screening, and so I'm trying to get that done hopefully soon, but I don't have a deadline for that one yet. That's what's going on for me as far as the world of film goes.
I want to thank all of my listeners. We've been gaining listeners lately, so I want to thank everybody new to the show. If you didn't like this episode, it was a little too political for you. I'm sorry. Most of them are just about dicks and farts. So definitely check out our next episode or listen to the last one. We have a website now, which I'm super excited about. It looks really good, and there's a lot of cool content over there. So if you want to know more about what we're doing over here at Talking Poop, you want to watch some videos, you want to see Bryann naked, then check out Flux Capacitation.
Oh, yeah.
On our website. He literally wears a manty. You might have seen my post on Instagram lately where I was bent over on my parents' kitchen table and my soon-to-be wife is making a face of disgust.
I love that scene.
At my butt.
That's hilarious.
It's all good stuff. So yeah, you can check that out. There's links to our videos and our YouTube page. You can check us out on Instagram and Facebook. And all I want to say is thanks for listening and come back next time to talk some more poop. I'm talking poop.
Talking poop.
It's a podcast.
And poop.